से बोलना है।
Is now working. Degree is now working. ध्यान में मतलब क्यों दोबारा हंदमयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो उपभाग नमकारं करोमसि नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स। हंद आनंदमयं बुद्धानुसतिनयं करोमसे तं कोपन भगवन्तं एवं कल्याणो किति सद्दो अभुगतो इति पिसो भगवा अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरुष धम्म सारथि सत्था देव मनुष्यान् बुद्धो भगवाति आनंदमयं बुद्धाभिगीतिं करोमसे बुद्धवारहन्त परतादिगुणाभियुक्तो शुद्धाभिज्ञान करुणा समागततो बोधेसियो सुजनतं कमलं वसुरो वन्दामहं तमरणं शिरसा जिनेन्दं बुद्धो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमम् पठमानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहं बुद्धस्सस्मि दासीव बुद्धो मे सामिकीश्वरो बुद्धस्सहं नियादेमि शरीरं जीवितं चिदम् दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि बुद्धस्यैव सुबोधितं नत्थि मे शरणम् अन्य बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्डेयं सत्तु शासने बुद्धं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं प्रसुतं इद शब्देऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेषु तस्य तेजसा आनंदमयं धम्मानुसतिनयं करोमसे स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिष्टिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको ओपनयिको पश्चात्तं वेदितव्यो विन्योहीति आनंदमयं धम्माभिगीतिं करोमसे स्वाखाततादिगुणयोगवसेन सेयो यो मग्गपाकपरियतिविमोकभेदो धम्मो कुलोकपतना तदधारिधारी वन्दामहं तमरं वरधम्ममेतं धम्मो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमम् द्वितीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहं धम्मस्सस्मि दासीव धम्मो मे सामिकीश्वरो धम्मस्सहं नियादेमि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि धम्मस्यैव सुधम्मतं नत्थि मे शरणम् अन्यत् धम्मो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्डेयं चतुशासने धम्मं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पसुतं इदा सभेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेशुं तस्य तेजसा आनन्दमयं संघानुसतिनयं करोमसि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अष्टपुरुषपुद्गला एष भगवतो सावकसङ्गो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अञ्जलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यखेतं लोकसाति आनन्दमयं संगाभिगीतिं करोमसि सधम्मजो सुपटिपत्तिगुणादियुतो यो अष्टविधो अरियपुगलसङ्गसेठो शीलादिधम्मपवरा सयकाय चेत्तो वन्दामहं तमरियानं सुशुद्धं सङ्घो यो सब्बपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमं ततीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहम् सङ्घासस्मिदासीव सङ्घो मे सामिकेश्वरो सङ्घासहं नियादेवि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि सङ्घस्सोपटिपन्नतं नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्य सङ्घो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्येन वड्डेयं सतु शासने सङ्गं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पसुतम् इद सभेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेशुं तस्य तेजसा
करणीय मेत्ता सुत्त सुनिए।
yang tang
page 127
namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa කරණීය මත්ත කුසලේන yang tang tang padang abhisamicce sakko juce sujuce sueco casse mudu anati mani santusse koce subheroce appakiccoce salleukutti santindriyoce nipakoce appagabbo kulesu ananugiddu naca khuddang samacare kinci yena vinyukare upavadeyung sukino akemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta ye kecipane bhutatti tasava thavarava anavasesa digavaye mahantava majjimarase khanukatula diṭṭhāvāyeve addiṭṭhā yeca dūre asanti avidūre bhūtāvā sambhavesīvā sabbhe sattā bhavantu sukhitattā ne paro parang nikubbete ñāti mangeca katta sinang kanci vyārosena patiga saññā nāñya maññasse dukkha micceya mātāyata niyang puttang ayusa eka putta manurakhe evampi sabba bhutesu mana sambhavaye aparimanang mittanca sabba lokasmin mana sambhavaye aparimanang uddang adoca tiriyanca asambādhaṃ averaṃ asapattaṃ tiṭṭhaṃ jaraṃ nisinnovā sayānovā yavetasya vigata niddho etaṃ satiṃ adhiṭṭeya brahmametaṃ vihāraṃ idamāhu diṭṭhiṃca anupagamma sīlavā dasanena sampanno kāmesu vinaya gedhaṃ nahi jātu gabhaseyaṃ punariti etena sacca vajjena sottite hotu sabbeda etena sacca vajjena sabba rogo vinasatu etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalam.
Listen to the session with Devamkur Sumedho. This place was the question and answer session.
So this evening is the questions and answers opportunity. As you've written, many of you have written questions to ask me, and Ajahn Asoka will read the questions and I'll give you all the answers.
So the first question is, someone's been using the sound of silence as an object of contemplation and says that after 5-6 days it vanishes, takes a long time to come back, and they find it difficult to use the breath in the meantime. What to do?
Well, the sound of silence is it's a vibration, it's not really a sound. If you notice behind everything, even behind the sound of the air conditioning or evening noises made by animals or whatever, there's a kind of subtle pitched vibration, kind of resonating, subtle sound. And again, I'm saying it's not really a sound because it has no beginning or ending, where sounds that we hear with the ear they begin and end. They're conditioned phenomena. So I use this as I detected it years ago in my early years as a monk, and wondered what it was, because you had the teachings where everything is impermanent. So, I thought everything is impermanent, so this vibration is impermanent. But I kept hearing it, kept noticing it, especially when I very silent and still. When I'm thinking a lot, then you forget all about it. So the sound of silence is here continuously. It's not an ear sound. And then it's a kind of conundrum too, because sound and silence are opposed to each other. But if you begin to notice it, and sustain attention on it, it's very peaceful, because it is a continuum, peaceful vibration. And then if it was a sankhara, it would begin and end. My attention to it would begin and end. Sometimes I'd notice it, sometimes I'd forget all about it, and then I'd remember it, then I'd try to find it through memory. But it's not something that, it's behind all sounds, whether they're noisy sounds or pleasant sounds. I used to give retreats in Chiang Mai, at Pyongyang, where the Dhamma hall, the meditation hall, was right on a stream, and a waterfall behind it, quite a high waterfall. So you get this loud sound of falling water and stream flowing, very continuous natural sounds. And then I'd always notice the sound of silence. In Sanskrit it's called the nada, which means sound. Nada yoga is a kind of practice, form of attention and resting in the stream of silence. So I used to, when I was a graduate student years ago, before becoming a monk, in Berkeley, in University of California, there were these peace marches. I had belonged to 2 peace organizations. I was a protester for peace. And this was back in 1962, 1963. It's ancient history for most of you. And this was, I wanted peace more than anything. So they had this Atomic Energy Commission office in Berkeley. So we used to go and carry signs and protest, and marching in front of the Atomic Energy Commission with peace signs and demanding peace. There was always this fear of a third world war. And we felt the Atomic Energy Commission was involved in these kind of possibilities. And I remember on the peace marches carrying a sign, protesting sign, demanding peace. And then I realized I didn't know what peace was. I looked at my own mind and it wasn't peaceful. I noted the two organizations, peace organizations that I was a member of, nobody in it was peaceful. And yet we were demanding peace. And then I thought, what is peace? This world, this samsara of conditions, of individuals, of views and opinions, this is all unpeaceful. Just the conflicts within my own mind were, with endless doubts and worries and resentments, so forth would arise. There was no peace. What is peace? What is the reality of peace? What do we mean by the word? So this was one reason why I became a monk, because I thought, I want to find out what peace is for myself, not just expect the United States government to make me peaceful, which will never happen. So when those of you that notice this, use it. It's a kind of a resting attitude. When you're trying to get it, the problem with meditation is we imagine and we remember sound of silence or the nada sound, and then we want to get something called the sound of silence. We are looking for something. And that is the very obstacle, which means you'll never be aware of it, because you're operating from a precondition, from an idea of it that you're looking for, rather than just trusting in awareness, resting, and just listening. The sense of, as I have advised before, the sense of open, relaxed listening. So the person that wrote the question has used this, but sometimes we forget it, or and we get carried away with our views, opinions, our feelings, our thoughts. But, it's always present. It's just a matter of relaxing and opening rather than trying to get something that you remember.
So the next question is regarding the 4 and 6 elements: earth, water, fire and air, and then space and consciousness. And the question is whether the first 4 are sankharas. Does that mean the last 2 are not?
Well, it's the kind of Dhamma teaching of the Buddha, using these words, earth, fire, water and air, or the solid element, because they all formed conditions. All things that arise and cease have qualities, so they're solid or liquid, their thoughts like air or wind. They have forms, they have color. Fire is the element of fire in the body, the heating element. The solid, we used to, in monastic meditation, to reflect on the solid elements as like the skeleton and that which has this kind of solidity, earth-like quality, the liquid elements, the blood, the lymph that flows through the body, the air, the wind that flows through the body, the breath, the fire. And then another good way to think of your body, because this is true, is that it's a food body. All these bodies in this room are food. They're made out of food. You have to eat every day. Keep feeding it with food, because the bodies that you identify with are food. Because they could be eaten by others. So, looking at your body as food is, I found, very interesting way of looking at it, because it kind of reflects one's own vanity of identity with it as me, as what I look like. The vanity of having a body, a male or a female, and identifying so strongly with it, like on passports or identification cards. What do they, they photograph your face. So our faces are very much what we identify with when we look in the mirror. We see, this is my face. And we look at each other, we know each other by the face usually. By the expression. The face is all food, earth, fire, water, and air. And then space and consciousness. These are immeasurables. Like earth, fire, water, and air are measurable. Form, color, size, quality, good, bad, beautiful, ugly, big, small, macrocosmic, microcosmic, so all the language that we have is about, the descriptions of the differences of the sankharas. Sankharas, when we think of sankharas, the body that we have, the mental states the thoughts are sankharas, they come and go. The emotions that change, come and go according to conditions. What we see, the organs of the eyes are impermanent. The objects of the eyes that we see, objects that we look at are impermanent. The consciousness that arises through contact with the eye, with its object, is impermanent. And you go through the senses, the ear, the organ of the ear, the sound is impermanent. The consciousness that arises through noticing, touching to sound is impermanent. This applies to smell, taste, touch. All conditions are impermanent. So that's the four dhatus, and dhatu is the Pali word for that we translated elements. So these are, they're meant to be helpful guidelines for reflection. They're not kind of absolute descriptions that have to be defended. They're more or less pointing at, when we talk about earth, fire, water, and air, we're not just imagining or theorizing intellectually about it, but we apply it to the bodies, to the experience that we have. Consciousness in this form, consciousness that we experience through senses, sensory consciousness, is all impermanent. Sape sankarani cha. Space then, there's space and consciousness. Space has no form. It is immeasurable, but it's perceivable. So the ability to, like we're just looking at space, just as I'm sitting here, looking at the space in the room, I have to remove my interest in the forms, the people in the room, but I can certainly visually perceive space. So it's impermanent, the perception of space that we can see through the eye. But consciousness, you can't perceive. It's perception, it's what perceives. So trying to perceive consciousness, which is an immeasurable, here and now, as I've said many times, you're conscious. So it's a fact, it's the one certainty, the fact that you have at this moment, that you're conscious, you know this, without trying to perceive it or describe it or find it as an object. You can't find consciousness as an object. It's like trying to see your own eyes. Your eyes see, but I can't see my own eyes. You can see my eyes, but I can't. At this moment, I can't make one eye see the other or turn them in on themselves to look and notice the eye. But the eyes can observe the objects of sight. The consciousness that arises that kind of consciousness is impermanent. So you can't find yourself. In other words, you'll never find yourself as an object. Take my word for it, after 53 years of investigating, who am I? What am I? What does myself mean when I talk about myself? Where do I fit in? Where do I belong? What is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? All these kind of questions arise in most of us. What is the meaning of it? What am I really? Am I just a physical, is all, we're just born into this world to procreate the species, survive and die? Is that all that it amounts to? In a kind of negative state, state of mind, a kind of depressing thought that this is the kind of realm that we're experiencing as human beings. What is the meaning of it? What is the purpose? Is it just to procreate the species and survive till we die? And then we just rot in the ground? Do I rot when I die? If I'm this physical body, the body decays or they cremate it. So these are kind of inquiring into the way things are. Can you really find yourself as an object? Can you be conscious? Can you find consciousness through seeing, or thinking, or smelling, or tasting, or touching, feeling? You can find objects through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, thinking. But can you actually find yourself, what you think you are? We create images of ourselves. You know, identity with a physical appearance, with a gender, with a nationality, with a class identity, cultural identity, racial identity. Whether we're rich or poor, we identify ourselves as successes or failures. But what is the self? What am I really? In terms of reality, not in terms of what I think or what I've been told. So this is like investigation, which Buddha Dhamma is all about investigation. It's to find out for yourself. It's not a belief system. And that's what so many of us, the Westerners, why we became interested in Buddhism, because we don't have such a practical, useful way of investigating our own existence in Western society, Western culture. So then, getting back to consciousness, you ended up with, that's what I am really, it's just this consciousness. It's not attached to an object. It's not that I'm an object. The body's not me. It's a force in nature, condition in nature that comes, or that is born and gets old and dies. But the constant reality that never changes throughout the lifespan of our physical body is consciousness. Like when you were born, consciousness of a newly born infant is the same. It's never changed to what you are experiencing right now. Except the newborn maybe hasn't acquired the thinking ability, or it doesn't identify with the body. But the consciousness of a newborn infant doesn't change. The body changes, it grows up, gets old, dies, the body, but the consciousness doesn't grow up, get old and die. So that's the constant ultimate reality that's here and now, to be experienced. It's bhajatang vaitida pavenuhi, to be experienced, to be known directly. You know, it's not a belief system. We're not asking you to believe what I'm saying. It's up to you to find out. So notice that space gives perspective on conditions, just like, you know, the space is here and now, and it has no quality other than spaciousness. It's not beautiful or ugly or good or bad, true or false. But it is here and now, as we perceive it, as we see through seeing. I used to practice in Wat Pah Pong years ago, before I ever went to live in the UK, looking at the space in the meditation hall in the sala. I began to see, you know, as I became accustomed to being a monk in a Thai Sangha, I started making too important, you know, the names of the monks. I like this monk, I don't particularly like that monk, and so I started giving my perceptions of my personal reaction to the forms of the bhikkhus that I was sitting with. I like this one, I don't like, this is a good monk, that's not such a good one. This is the discriminating critical mind. So I started just looking at the space between monks, which stopped my critical mind. Because it's visual, very clear, I can see right down this aisle. Space above you, space around you. And if I meditate on space, it's quite peaceful because space is spacious. What you get at the end of a meditation on space is a sense of spaciousness, of immeasurableness, rather than of like or dislike, or whether I approve or disapprove. Or the critical mind doesn't know what to do with space. It can't criticize it, but it knows it. There's a knowing. It's like this. Same with consciousness. It's not critical. It's not, we have to think to criticize. So in the dependent origination teaching of the Buddha, Paticca Samuppada, this was one of the teachings, very profound, useful meditations that we have in this tradition to kind of investigate reality. And when you begin to see that it begins with avijja bhajaya sankhara, which means ignorance, not knowing Dhamma, not having investigated the Four Noble Truths, the three aspects of each truth, the 12 insights, then we always come from the self-view. Avijja is I am this person, this body. So every time I start thinking and creating, start attaching to my personal feelings, my memories, my views and opinions, the sense of my separateness, my position, social position, my appearance, my age, my gender, that's avijja, or ignorance of the Dhamma, which affects sankhara. So sankharas that we see, that we experience through avijja, through ignorance, affect consciousness. Consciousness is whole, but it divides into nama rupa, or name and form, and then it gets more complicated into the six senses, salayatana, which is, experience of vedana, phassa vedana, the contact of the senses, so that it takes you to grief, sorrow, despair, and anguish. So this avijja, ignorance of the Dhamma, not knowing Dhamma, not having realized reality, then the only experience we can expect is some form of suffering. Because as human beings, as individuals, we have to, we have very sensitivity is about pleasure and pain. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling. What we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, all have their pleasant and unpleasant aspects. We have to grow up, get old, get sick, die. Before we die, we have to experience the loss of loved ones, the death of our parents, the death of our teachers, death of loved ones, the separation from the love. All this is part of a human history. A human lifetime is spent in these changing conditions that we identify with as this separate human form, this separate person, which is avijja, ignorance of Dhamma, ignorance of your true nature. So the result is always what they say, sukha pariteva toka tumanasa samvayata, which means grief, sorrow, despair, anguish, death. Then the other side, then the nirodha side of paticca samuppada is where there's vicha, or knowledge, insight, enlightenment, which is the end of suffering. So this is, this is an invitation to find out for ourselves. So notice the space and consciousness immeasurables, they give perspective. When you're aware of your thinking, like you're aware thinking is like this, you're coming, it's intuitive awareness. It's not just thinking about thinking or judging thinking or getting attached to what you're thinking, but observing, because you know thinking. So what is aware of thinking isn't a thought, it's conscious mindfulness, awareness, aware of a thought. And that's why I encourage this intentional thinking. Like I would think, just the words I am, which is before I become Ajahn Sumedho. Just these two words, pronoun and a verb, announcing present, that's fair enough. There's a sense of being here and now that we all experience. We're consciously aware we're here. And even in English words, I am it isn't Ajahn Sumedho yet. And then I think, I'm Ajahn Sumedho, then I become Ajahn Sumedho. But if there's just, behind the word, consciousness gives perspective on the impermanence of language, of a word. It comes and goes very quickly. It doesn't linger, and words go by very fast. But we usually don't notice the space, the gaps between the words. We're always going, I am Ajahn Sumedho, and so it's, grammatically that is fair enough, and on the conventional level that's how we operate in conventional terms. But in ultimate reality, awareness, mindfulness, consciousness isn't Ajahn Sumedho, isn't personal. So we all identify with, each one with your name, with one's own name, separate names, so we all have different names. The presence is obvious. We're all sitting here in this room. And then we assume that like speaking for myself, that I am Ajahn Sumedho under all conditions. So it's on a conventional, there's a difference between conventional reality and ultimate reality. Conventions are just ways of communicating, but they're all impermanent and not self. But we take the conventional realities very personally. We grasp the conventions and overlook ultimate reality. Goes completely unnoticed in some people's lives. They never ever recognize ultimate reality. They're so caught up in the conventions of their physical form and their conditioning. because consciousness is immeasurable, it has no, it's invisible, you can't see it, you can't perceive it. But you are that. That's a fact you can't deny.
The next question is how to differentiate between intuitive awareness on one hand and instinct or gut feeling on the other.
Intuitive awareness and instinct, gut feeling. Well, they're just different expressions. Like when we talk about intuition, like the English word intuition isn't a rational kind of knowing. Like rationally, it's a thinking process. It's discrimination. So we're educated to think and rationalize. We adore reason, make things reasonable, sensible, logical. These are the developments of the thinking mind, reason and logic. But reason and logic don't have any guts. They have no real feeling. Intellectual people who spend their time up in their heads usually lack much intuitive abilities, because the critical mind takes over, and you can rationalize anything. You can justify anything, crime or genocide or murder, and the way that the rational mind can justify and adapt to any situation. So that's pointing to rationality, which is a gift we have, but it's not ultimately true or real. It's not ultimate truth. It's a function. It's nama rupa. It's divisive. The thinking mind is about good and bad, right and wrong, true and false. But intuitive awareness is more on the heart level. It's the feeling level. You get a feeling. It's not rational. Some people that are very intuitive sometimes are dismissed because they pick up kind of moods and atmospheres of situations or different people. That they can't prove logically or rationally. But intuitive awareness is what in meditation is what we're not trying to rationalize Buddha Dhamma and discuss it in terms of logic, reason and logic anymore. But it takes something like suffering as a noble truth, which isn't explained rationally or reasonably. So it's not the first noble truth of dukkha, of suffering, isn't about why we suffer, who's to blame for it. So we can blame ourselves for our suffering, we can blame somebody else, we can blame God, whatever, the sense that we want to know, why do I suffer like this? That's trying to figure it out and analytically find a cause for it or who's to blame for it. But notice the first noble truth is more on the gut level of awareness. It's like this feeling of anxiety or sense of lack, something is imperfect. There's something I need to get. I worry about the future. Or why do I suffer? Why do I have these emotions? Why do I get upset over sometimes rather insignificant things that happen? Why am I so easily offended? We can just, somebody doesn't smile at us one morning, we can feel offended. We grow up, we have hang-ups about whether we're loved or liked or appreciated, and we tend to need the support, smiles from people and accolades and praise and affirmations to feel right about ourselves. And rationally we can be very, brilliant scientists or philosophers, but on the gut level, the feeling level, we can feel hopeless or not good enough or inferior, or that there's something missing or lacking in us. So many of the questions on retreats, about people dealing with what we call the inner tyrant, a kind of vicious monster inside us that always is criticizing us. And so, we can all recognize that, when you're upset about something, somebody said something that upset you and you're crying, and the inner tyrant will come and say, well, forget it, it doesn't really matter, you're just being silly. That's the rational, that's the judgmental function. Don't be so silly, don't be so sensitive, you're making, a scene about nothing. That's the inner tyrant judging you. But you're emotionally very upset. It's like this. When somebody dies, in England, for example, because in the British system, it's about don't make a scene. When death is, everybody has to die. Don't make a scene. Stiff upper lip. Get on with life. Which is all rational, it's reasonable, sensible, rational. But grief, when you lose somebody you love, is like this. It's not rational, it's not what you choose to feel, it's not sensible or reasonable, but it is what it is. So it's learning to trust this awareness, that you can be aware of grief is like this, being upset over something that might seem trivial to everyone else. But if you're upset, it's like this. It's not a matter of how you should be feeling, but this is the way it is. And grief and being upset and the emotional is the conditions that arise and cease according to other conditions. So the inner tyrant is the critic. It's the critic. It's stiff upper lip, don't make a scene, don't embarrass yourself. Men don't cry. And be brave, stiff upper lip, and all these kind of rational suggestions can come from, how you want things to be. But what we experience through these forms is the feeling of life, the loss of loved ones, the failure, when we fail at something that we wanted to succeed in. When we are successful, we feel happy. And everybody's praising us, he's a great success, she's a CEO of an important chemical industry, and she's a success, and then we, We like that sense of feeling that I'm a success as a person. And then we end up homeless and a failure. And then we hate ourselves. The inner critic says, you're obviously useless, nobody loves you. You're a failure. But in terms of Dhamma, success and failure are of equal value. Success, sometimes we feel successful, sometimes we feel failures. But they are conditions that we're not trying to analyze or judge, but recognize with intuitive awareness. It's like this. It's not telling you how you should feel or whether being a loser is true, but feeling like a loser, a failure, is like this. Trust that awareness. That's the path of wisdom. Whether you're considered a success or failure or whatever is the world, the society which is mainly ignorant and based on, most societies have, values and principles and standards that are quite high. But values and standards, principles are, they're like guiding stars. But when we always come from what should be, how things should be according to our high standards and principles, then the inner tyrant can always find something, weaknesses, flaws, imperfections, cowardliness, fear, resentment, and say you shouldn't have that. If you were really honest and perfect, you wouldn't even have such thoughts or inclinations. But the intuitive awareness is non-judgmental. Because it's about feeling, which is not a principle or a high standard or a value. It is what it is. We can't help the way we feel. We don't always want to feel what we're feeling, but at this moment, at this very moment, each one of you is feeling something. You didn't choose it. It isn't a matter of choice or rationally, choosing the best feeling you can have at this moment. But what you're feeling at this moment is like this.
The next question is someone saying they are overwhelmed with thoughts of the past and the future. What to do?
Yeah, well, that's the past and the future. Really contemplate this sense of here and now. You're here. The place is here. The time is now. So, what is the past right now? And you're sitting here and you're thinking about this morning. That's a memory. Or you're thinking about yesterday or a week ago or 10 years ago. They're memories. Somebody asked me once about past lives. Have you experienced memories from past lives? And so, I haven't noticed any memories of past lives. But I met people that have memories of past lives. Usually, like they remember being Julius Caesar or Genghis Khan, somebody interesting. Not like a farmer in Uzbekistan 100 years ago. And so you can make interesting stories, I've heard of if you have interesting past lives, being Julius Caesar, I could tell you many interesting stories. But being just a dirt farmer in Uzbekistan 100 years ago, there isn't much to tell. But it's still a memory, even if these memories are valid. There's at this point, here and now, if you remember being Julius Caesar, it's still a memory that comes and goes. And it's not a self, it's a memory. If you remember this morning what you had to eat at the noon meal, that's a memory now. So whether it's Julius Caesar or the noon meal, it's memory. So we're not interested in the content of the memory, whether it's interesting, fascinating, glamorous, important, or just memory of a meal we had previously. So I encourage you to invest, intentional remembering, thinking about this morning or yesterday, or before you arrived at Putarafa Resort. There's a memory now. Then the future, right now as you're sitting here, is what you imagine, what you expect. You have plans, you have expectations, hopes, or dreads. Maybe you dread the future, maybe you imagine, you can create images of success or failure in the future. And that's happening right now as you're sitting here. So that's a sankhara, the images, the imagination, the fears, the dread. It's the unknown, isn't it? The future is unknown. It's possibility. Everything could go perfectly well, or everything might fall apart. It's a guess. It's an imagination, an image that we create here and now. And so just by reflecting in this way, you're seeing that what is arising while you're thinking is about the past. Well, don't try to stop thinking about the past, but examine thinking about the past, what you remember. It's like this, isn't it? It arises and ceases. Memories can't linger for very long, they come and go very quickly. Plans for the future right now is create images, imagination. You have hope that everything's going to go well, or you dread the future. Hope or dread. Imagination. Being unsure, feeling insecure about your future is like this. And that's happening now. So the future is the unknown right now. You can't know the future. You can know that you're imagining something for the future. You can know that you hope for the best or dread that everything's going to fall apart in the future. But there's only the here and the now. Paccuppanna Dhamma in Pali was the present reality, the Dhamma of the present, here and now. So in trying to stop the thinking mind, or trying to, stop proliferating and fighting and resisting it and trying to control it, investigate it, and apply this, what is the past right now for each one of you? Whether it's the noon meal or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's Julius Caesar, or you were a caveman or cavewoman a Neanderthal, the memory it still arises in the present. And it's a memory, so it doesn't have any heart, any soul to it. It's just empty phenomena that comes in the present. The past is a memory, the future is the unknown, now is the knowing. So this awareness, sati sampajanya, awareness, mindfulness, consciousness, is here and now. It's not about the future or the past. So this is, and then again the santiti kodama is here and now, apparent here and now. That's all there ever is in experience, is the here and now.
संक्षेप में सारांश बताते हैं। आज का सत्र जो था ये प्रश्नोत्तर का था। तो पहला प्रश्न नाद के बारे में था, जैसे जहाँ साउंड ऑफ साइलेंस कहते हैं, तो उन्होंने पूछा कि वो बीच में चला जाता है, फिर सांस देखना मुश्किल हो जाता है। तो उसके बारे में बेसिकली ये बताया कि साउंड ऑफ साइलेंस जो है वो एक बार अगर सचमुच में महसूस हो तो फिर कहीं जाता नहीं है, हमारा ही मन भटक जाता है और हम मन इधर उधर चला जाता है। अगर हम तो फिर उसको अगर हम खोजने की कोशिश करेंगे ज़ोर लगा के, तो फिर वो क्योंकि माने अनबैलेंस्ड है तो वो मालूम नहीं पड़ता। तो अगर वो महसूस हमारा मन अगर भटक जाता है काफ़ी लंबे समय तक, तो फिर जैसे ही हम रिलैक्स करेंगे तब वो अपने आप मालूम पड़ेगा। उसके लिए ज़ोर ज़बरदस्ती करने से ठीक नहीं होगा। ये उस प्रश्न का सारांश उत्तर था। दूसरा प्रश्न था कि 4 एलिमेंट होते हैं, कोई 6 एलिमेंट बताते हैं। तो ये बाकी 4 एलिमेंट जो हैं, पृथ्वी, वायु, जल, आकाश, अग्नि, ये तो अनित्य हैं। तो जो बाकी 2 हैं वो नित्य हैं क्या? तो आपने बताया कि भाई 4 जो हैं, पृथ्वी, वायु, जल, अग्नि, ये तो स्पष्ट है, बदलते रहते हैं और ये मेजर फाइनाइट चीज़ें हैं। जबकि आकाश और विज्ञान जो कह लीजिए या चेतना, वो इमेजरेबल है, वो कोई वस्तु नहीं है ये। और इसलिए वो ऐसी चीज़ें, आकाश तो फिर भी हम आँख से देख पाते हैं, अंदाज़ा लग जाता है, लेकिन विज्ञान तो मालूम नहीं पड़ता। आप उसको एक विज्ञान को या कॉन्शियसनेस को एक ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह नहीं देख सकते, क्योंकि विज्ञान तो सब्जेक्ट है। तो इसलिए उसको देखने के लिए रिलैक्स होना पड़ेगा, तो मालूम पड़ता है कि हाँ, जानने की जो हमारी क्षमता है वो विज्ञान है। जो विज्ञान इंद्रियों के माध्यम से काम करता है, यही जो हमारा बेसिक कॉन्शियसनेस है, जब ये इंद्रिय के माध्यम से प्रकट होता है तो ये अनित्य हो जाता है, बदलता रहता है। तो ये बात जो है वो हमको समझ लेनी चाहिए। तो ये बताया कि हमको इस तरह की इंक्वायरी करते रहना चाहिए। वैसे वो जनरली इंक्वायरी अपने जीवन के बारे में, हमारा क्या उद्देश्य है, मैं क्या हूँ, इसके बारे में उद्देश्य बात कर लेते जनरली, कि क्या हम यहाँ पे सिर्फ अपनी स्पीसीज़ को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए आए हैं और मर जाएं और चले जाएं, क्या यही उद्देश्य है क्या? तो हमको सोचना चाहिए इसके बारे में। और जितना हम गहन चिंतन करेंगे तो हमको मालूम पड़ेगा कि सत्य क्या है और कॉन्शियसनेस की तरफ हमारा ध्यान अल्टीमेटली जाएगा। और ये समझ में आने लगता है तब कि मेरा असली स्वरूप जो है ये चेतना ही है, कॉन्शियसनेस ही है, क्योंकि बाकी सब तो बदलते रहते हैं। हम अननेसेसरी अपनी इमेजेस बनाते रहते हैं आइडेंटिटी के हिसाब से, कल्चर के हिसाब से। वो सब हमारा अपना मन का प्रोजेक्शन है, वो सब बदलती रहती हैं। तो उसको इमेज को साथ चिपकाव के कारण ही दुख ज़्यादा होता है। जो चीज़ नहीं बदलती वो यही है जो हमारी चेतना है, जो कॉन्शियसनेस है। हम छोटे थे जब चेतना थी, अब बड़े हो गए जो चेतना है वो वही चेतना है, लेकिन उसके आवरण दूसरे बदल गए। तो उन्होंने अपना उदाहरण बताया स्पेस के बारे में कि जब वो अमरावती में अबट थे तो वहाँ कुछ मॉन्क्स के बीच में, मान लिए, या इधर बाटपा नाना चात में अबट थे, तो आप मॉन्क्स के बीच में अगर वो उनको किसी मॉन्क को देखते थे तो ख्याल आता उसके अच्छा है बुरा है, दूसरा अच्छा है बुरा है। तो उन्होंने फिर देखना उन दोनों के बीच में जो स्पेस है उसकी ओर ध्यान देना शुरू किया, ताकि मन जो है न्यूट्रल रहे, कोई क्रिटिकलिटी नहीं, क्योंकि स्पेस एक न्यूट्रल चीज़ है, क्रिटिकल नहीं है। और इसी तरह कॉन्शियसनेस भी जो है वो क्रिटिकल नहीं है। एक सवाल था कि इंट्यूटिव अवेयरनेस और गट फीलिंग क्या एक ही है? तो उन्होंने बताया हाँ, इंट्यूशन का बेसिकली मतलब है जो कि रैशनल थिंकिंग नहीं है, कि हम हिसाब लगा के कैलकुलेट करके सोच रहे हैं, उसमें लॉजिक और रीज़न नहीं होता। लॉजिक रीज़न के साथ जो है वो नॉर्मल थिंकिंग आती है, जो इंटेलेक्चुअल एनालिसिस से जस्टिफाई की जा सके। उन्होंने कई उदाहरण दिए उसके, किसी चीज़ को किसी से बिछो हो जाता है, प्रिय से रोना आता है, बुरा लगता है, दुख होता है, तो कोई अगर जैसे इंग्लैंड का उदाहरण दिया, वहाँ पे लोग सोचते नहीं ये अच्छा नहीं, बात नहीं, सीन मत करना कुछ, ये तो आने जाना तो चलता ही रहता है। तो वो ये सब बातें सत्य हैं, बुद्धि के हिसाब से सत्य हैं, लेकिन हमारा मन जो है, मानस जो है, जो इमोशंस हैं वो अलग तरह से हैं। इमोशंस से बुद्धि की बात इस तरह से सुनते नहीं हैं। तो अगर हम इमोशनल हैं हो जाते हैं और उस परिस्थिति को बुरा ना मान के उसको भी देखेंगे, समझेंगे कि इस समय ऐसा है, तो उसको जब अवेयरनेस की उस पर के भाव से देखते हैं, उसको आत्मभाव से नहीं देखते, तो अपने आप वो शांत हो जाता है। जैसे हमारे को क्रिटिसाइज़ करता है तो बुरा लगता है, प्रेज करता है तो अच्छा लगता है। और बुद्धि के हिसाब से समझें तो इसका कोई महत्व नहीं है हमसे, हम तो जानते हैं, तो क्रिटिसिज्म पेज तो करते रहते हैं लोग, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, लेकिन वास्तव में ऐसा नहीं होता। तो जो अंदर से जो अपना इमोशनल रिस्पॉन्स है, जो या डायरेक्ट अवेयरनेस है, वो इंट्यूटिव अवेयरनेस है। क्योंकि इमोशंस जो हैं वो रैशनली नहीं काम करते, वो बुद्धि के हिसाब से नहीं चलते हैं। जैसे तो उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया कि हम वो हाई स्टैंडर्ड बना देते हैं और फिर अपने आप को अंदर से क्रिटिसाइज़ करते रहते हैं। एक तरह का इनर टायरेंट होता है जो अपनी गलतियाँ निकालता रहता है। तो इंट्यूटिव अवेयरनेस जो है वो ऐसा नहीं करती, वो उसको देखती है, अच्छा ऐसा लग रहा है, बुरा लग रहा है, जान लग रहा है, वो जजमेंट नहीं करती, उसको सिर्फ जानते हैं और उसका निवारण हो जाता है। तो चौथा सवाल था कि मैं विचारों से, भूतकाल भविष्य के विचारों से बहुत परेशान हो जाता हूँ। तो मैंने उसको ध्यान दिलाया कि जो भी भूतकाल का विचार है या भविष्य का विचार है वो सब अभी इस समय हो रहा है, प्रेजेंट मोमेंट में होता है। उसके अंदर कोई सत्य नहीं है, वो एक खोखली सी चीज़ है। अगर हम उसको अवेयरनेस की दृष्टि से ठीक से देखेंगे, इस प्रेजेंट में मोमेंट में अवेयर स्थापित होकर देखेंगे, तो अपने आप ड्रॉप हो जाएगा। क्योंकि जो भी संस्कार हैं वो उठते रहते हैं, चले जाते हैं, और हम अगर उनको उस तरह से देखेंगे, उसके साथ चिपकाव नहीं करेंगे, तो अपने आप निकल जाएंगे। बेसिकली वही कहा कि उन्होंने कि आप उसको इन्वेस्टिगेट करना चाहिए कि ये भूतकाल का विचार है, ये भविष्य का विचार है। जैसे हम उसको इस तरह से समझने लगते हैं तो उसकी शक्ति कम हो जाती है कि ये इस समय का विचार है, केवल सत्य नहीं है ये। और जो भविष्य के अवसर में ख़ास तौर पे कभी हमें उम्मीद होती है, कभी भय होता है, वो सब चीज़ें हम एक एम्प्टी थॉट की तरह देखेंगे, तो फिर उसके ऊपर उसके साथ चिपकाव नहीं करेंगे और परेशान नहीं होंगे। समय काफ़ी हो गया, तो ब्रह्मानुपश्यना संक्षेप में करते हैं। धम्मानुसति। जैसे बुद्धानुसति और धम्मानुसति, वैसे तो हम रोज़ उनको रिसाइट करते हैं, उसी को एक एक शब्द का मतलब थोड़ा गहराई से समझ के मन में प्रसन्नता, मोद, इंस्पिरेशन सब जागता है। इस कारण से ये सब किया जाता है। तो धम्मानुसति में हम क्या कहते हैं? साक्षातो भगवता धम्मो। स्वाख्यातों का तात्पर्य क्या हुआ? बहुत अच्छी तरह आख्यात किया गया है। और जब हम देखते हैं धर्म की शिक्षा को तो स्पष्ट लगता है कितने लेवल पे, कितने आसानी से, कितने सरल भाषा में समझाया गया है। शील, समाधि, प्रज्ञा कह के समझा दिया, या दान, शील, भावना कह के समझा दिया, या कुशल कार्यों से का संपादन करो, अकुशल से बचो, चित्त को शुद्ध करो, एक और तरीके से समझा दिया। तो नाना प्रकार से भगवान ने उसको समझाने का प्रयास किया ताकि हर साधक को उसकी रुचि के अनुसार, उसकी समझ के अनुसार वो ठीक से समझ आ सके। जैसे 3 लक्षण उसके बताए गए, अनित्य, दुख, अनात्ता। बड़े हम लोगों को अब साधक होने के बाद बार बार सुनने की बड़ी सामान्य सी बात लगती है, लेकिन आप गहराई से इस पर विचार करेंगे तो अगर हम 5 खंड अनित्य हैं, सिर्फ इतनी ही बात पकड़ लें और इसी के अनुसार से जीवन जीने लगे तो मुक्ति की ओर बढ़ जाएंगे। तो इस तरह से दुख की बात भी, इस तरह से अनात्म की बात भी। तो देखते हैं कि जो भगवान ने जिस तरह से धर्म सिखाया विभिन्न प्रकार से, 4 अरे सत्य हो, प्रतीच्य समुत्पाद हो, आनापान पकड़ो हो, सतिपठान हो, बिल्कुल अच्छी तरह से रैशनली समझा के बताया गया। तो इसलिए सचमुच में भगवान के धर्म के शिक्षा के बारे में कहा जा सकता है साक्षातो भगवता धम्मो। फिर कहा जाता है संदिष्टिको, सांदृष्टिक है, अकालिको, समय नहीं लगता, तुरंत उसको मालूम पड़ जाता है। और अकालिक एक और सेंस में भी है कि वो हर काल में वैलिड है जो उनकी शिक्षा है। लेकिन सांदृष्टिक का मतलब कि अपरेंट हेयर एंड नाउ, अभी तुरंत मालूम पड़ता है संदृष्टि क्या है। जब वो बताते हैं कि अनित्य है तो अगर हम थोड़ा भी ध्यान रखें तो स्पष्ट मालूम पड़ता है, हाँ सब कुछ अनित्य है, शरीर भी अनित्य है, संस्कार भी अनित्य है, वेदना भी अनित्य है, तुरंत मालूम पड़ता है। उसके लिए बहुत गहन चिंतन करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तुरंत हम अपने अनुभव पे जान सकते हैं। और जैसे एक और जगह जब हम मॉर्निंग चैंटिंग में कहते हैं कि ये भगवान के जब धर्म की शिक्षा की गुण गा करके और भगवान बुद्ध के धर्मों गुणों की बात करते हैं तो उसमें भी हम ये कहते हैं कि वो धर्म जो है आदि में कल्याणकारी है, मध्य में कल्याणकारी है और अंत में कल्याणकारी है। तो वो भी इसी सेंस में है कि शुरू से ही शुरू में हम शील का पालन करें तो कल्याणकारी, समाधि का अभ्यास करें तो और कल्याणकारी, प्रज्ञा जगा लें तो अत्यंत कल्याणकारी है। उस सेंस में भी इसको समझा जाता है संदिष्टिक और अकालिक के सेंस में, तुरंत स्पष्ट मालूम पड़ता है। ये ही पस्सी को तो इनवाइट करता है हमको कि आओ देखो। हम लोग अपने साधक होने के नाते जानते हैं, जैसे हमने देखा कि दुख जाग रहा है और हमने उसको ठीक से देख पाया, वो समाप्त हो गया, तो अकालिक तुरंत समाप्त हो गया। और फिर और मन करता है कि चलो और उसको देखा जाए, और कोई और परेशानी है उसको भी देखा जाए। तो बार बार अपने अनुभव के आधार पे हमको वो इनवाइट करता है। ऐसा लगता है जैसे धर्म हमको इनवाइट कर रहा है कि आओ करो, बैठे देखो ज़रा दुख जो है उसको देखो, उसको समझो और मुक्त हो जाओ। तो इस सेंस में संदिष्टिको, अकालिको, एहि पश्चितो, उपनयिको के 2 तरह के मतलब लिए जाते हैं। एक तो लीडिंग इनवर्ड कि हमको अंदर की ओर ले जाता है, हम दुख का कारण बाहर नहीं देखते, अंदर समझते हैं, क्योंकि भगवान की सारी शिक्षा का उद्देश्य दुख है और दुख का निवारण है। ये बात हमें हमेशा ख्याल रखनी चाहिए। तो जब औपनयिकों को अगर हम लीडिंग इनवर्ड कहते हैं तो उस सेंस में कि जो दुख है उसका कारण हमारे भीतर है, उसको देखने का हमारे को प्रोत्साहन करता है। तो औपनयिकों को जब हम लीडिंग आउटवर्ड कहते हैं उसका मतलब वो आगे की ओर ले जाता है। पुथुजन से हमको सोतापन, सोतापन से सग्दागामी, सग्दागामी से अनागामी, अनागामी से अरहंत, पूरी तरह मुक्त। तो आगे की तरफ एक रास्ता उसमें भगवान धर्म हमारे लिए बनाता है। तो उस सेंस में भी इसको इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। तो संदिठिको, अकालिको, एहि पस्सिको, औपनयिको, पच्चत्तंग वेदितव्यो विन्योहि। तो जो समझदार लोग हैं वो अपने भीतर इंडिविजुअली इसको पहचान सकते हैं। और ये सब हम साधक होने के नाते जानते हैं कि सचमुच में सत्य है। और कितनी बड़ी बात है कि हमको किसी पे विश्वास करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। उसने कह दिया चलो विश्वास करो, फिर करते रहो, फिर 5 साल 10 साल बाद हमको मालूम पड़ेगा। नहीं, हम तुरंत, अगर हम समझदार हैं तो तुरंत उस बात को समझ जाते हैं। हाँ, बहुत समझदारी की लेवल हो सकती हैं। बहुत तीक्ष्ण बुद्धि वाला है, जैसे हम सारे पुत्र थे या भाइया थे या और चीफ डिसाइपल्स थे, ज़रा सी बात हिंट दिया और वो उनको समझ में आ गया। हम लोग शायद मंद बुद्धि लोग हैं, उनको थोड़ा ज़्यादा समय लगता है समझने में, और समझ भी जाते हैं बुद्धि के स्तर पर तो जीवन में उतारने में समय लगता है। बट ये बात स्पष्ट है कि हमको भी समझ आ जाता है अपने अनुभव में, अपने अंदर भीतर उस बात को हम महसूस करते हैं। तो इस तरह से धम्मानुसति की व्याख्या की जाती है। इसको और विस्तार में कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आप स्वयं हम अपनी तरफ से अपने विचारों से धम्म के कौन कौन से हमको सूत्र जो बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं उनको याद कर सकते हैं। किस तरह से भगवान ने स्वाख्यात किया उसको, क्या क्या बातें धर्म की सिखाई, 4 आर्य सत्य, सतीपट्ठान, सपतिच्च समुत्पाद, तो वो सब बातें समझ में याद कर सकते हैं। तो सचमुच में मोद जागता है, कितना अच्छा है, कितना स्वाख्यात है, संदिष्टिक है। हमें भी अपने एकदम अपरेंट है, इसी समय अपरेंट हो जाता है, कोई उसके लिए इंतज़ार करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। और अकालिक है, जैसे ही प्रयोग में लाते हैं तुरंत उसका फल मिलता है, और किसी भी युग में, हर युग में प्रासंगिक रहेगा। इस तरह से जब हम धर्म की वंदना करते हैं तो उस तरह से उसको धम्मानुसति में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं। तो एक बार धीरे धीरे शांत कर लेते हैं और फिर मन में भाव बना के शरीर में उसका जो प्रीति जागती है, प्रसन्नता जागती है, उसको देखते हैं, थोड़ी देर उसको सुख को महसूस करते हैं। ये सब जो हैं अतीन्द्रिय सुख हैं, दे आर बेटर देन द सेंसरी जॉयज, दे कैन बी एन्जॉयड, दे कैन बी केप्ट। कुछ देर हम उसको महसूस कर सकते हैं और फिर समापन करेंगे सत्संग। साक्षातो भगवता धम्मो संदिठिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको औपनयिको पच्चत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्योहि। एक और बात जो काफ़ी मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगती है, जो हम अपनी मॉर्निंग चैंटिंग में करते हैं कि केवलम परिपूर्णम परिशुद्धम, तो हर प्रकार से परिपूर्ण है। परिपूर्ण इस सेंस में कि इसमें कुछ और जोड़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, और परिशुद्ध इसलिए कि इससे कुछ निकालने की भी आवश्यकता नहीं है, निकालना भी नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ भी निकाल देंगे, सतीपट्ठान 4 हैं, कुछ भी निकाल देंगे तो फिर वह अशुद्ध हो जाएगा, और अपनी तरफ से कुछ जोड़ देंगे तो भी अशुद्ध हो जाएगा। उसको समझने का प्रयास करना अलग बात है, बट जो उस भगवान की शिक्षा में कुछ जोड़ना वो अलग बात है। उस सेंस में भी जब हम जानते हैं
हेलो, हाँ,
तो इस तरह से जब हम विचार करते हैं मन में तो प्रसन्नता और जागती है, प्रीति प्रमोद जागता है, और ये प्रीति प्रमोद फिर हम आगे बढ़ के साधना करना चाहें तो हमारी कंसंट्रेशन अच्छी होगी, और जो प्रतीच्य समुत्पाद है पॉजिटिव डायरेक्शन का, कंसंट्रेशन अच्छी होगी तो यथाभूत ज्ञान दर्शन होगा, डिसएंचेंटमेंट होगी, और फिर डिस्पैशन और मुक्ति की ओर मार्ग खुल जाएगा। तो उस सेंस में ये सब हमारी मुक्ति के, हमारी साधना के अंग बन जाते हैं अगर हम उसको ठीक से समझ के करें तो। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादे। स्वागतो भगवता धम्मो धम्मस्सु सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि।